Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations right here on the Conscious Awakening Network. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I want to welcome you to tonight's episode. And as always, I want to invite you to go to your app store and download our free app, or go to Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, Samsung TV, download our free app where you can watch us there, or you can catch us on a plethora of podcasting locations. So check us out. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're live or whether you're watching and listening on replay. Now, a couple announcements. I am super excited, and we announced this last Thursday, but by popular request, the Light Language Conference is now going to be live and online on the Conscious Awakening Network. Before, people were concerned that they were going to have to fly and get a hotel, but now all you have to do is sit back in the comfort of your living room and enjoy 3 days with 18 speakers of light language, activations, sound healing. So join us. The date is still May 30th through June 1st. You can visit us at the consciousawakeningnetwork.org. Go to the events section and sign up. Also, we have coming up on May 24th, that's a Saturday, excuse me, at 10 a.m., we have a fast track Merkaba workshop with Maureen St. Germain. You don't want to miss that. And also, then on June 7th from 10 a.m., probably until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we have Messages from the Stars, Unlocking Humanity's Galactic History. And then on May the 9th through the 11th at the New Living Expo, I'm going to be there on Sunday, the 11th at 11 o'clock. I'm going to be discussing galactic connections, the false matrix, activations, the holographic grid, you name it, and giving an activation from Elder Mother Tiamu, who is Andromedan. So you can check that out at newlivingexpo.com. Now, I am excited and sad because tonight is our last night for my co-host for the month, and that is our wonderful Dr. Lisa Thompson. I'm going to go ahead and bring you up as I talk about you. Now, Dr. Lisa is an internationally recognized best-selling author. She's a speaker, a galactic ambassador, a channeler, an intuitive transformational coach who brings the worlds of science and spirituality together. She is a lifelong experiencer and a multidimensional channel who communicates with 13 higher dimensional ET races, primarily the Arcturian Ulura. And so tonight we have a guest, but before we bring up our guest, Seth Dietland, I want to just go ahead and let you know how excited I have been to have you here this month. And if there's anything that you want to share with people right now before we get into the program, I want to give you the opportunity to do so.
Thank you so much, Sheila. It's been truly an honor to be here with you and for you to allow me to invite some of my favorite people these last 4 weeks onto the show. And for those of you who have been watching or listening, thank you for your time. It's always appreciated. And one thing that I haven't really been able to talk about is that I have a brand new free gift, which is a multidimensional awakening kit. And this is 5 different high vibrational meditations to help you really release fear and judgment of yourself, to raise your vibration, to connect with your higher dimensional guides, to create heaven on earth and really create your desired timeline. It also comes with an ascension workbook. And again, that's all free. And it's at awakenactivatenow.com. And so that is my gift to everyone. And so please download that yourself and share with all of your friends and family, because as someone mentioned earlier, I think it was Stacy, they're having their Canadian elections today, and we all need the most high vibrational kind of energy that we can have in our environments, no matter what is going on anywhere on earth. And so this is just one of my little pieces to do that.
Beautiful. Thank you so, so much. Now I want to go ahead and add Seth to the mix up here. Hey, hey, how are you doing?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I am great. And you're right, you are amazing. And let me tell people why you are so amazing. Well, first, just because you're Seth. And Seth is a renowned thought leader in the realm of spiritual manifestation and angelic communication. And over 2 decades of dedicated practice and exploration, Seth has developed a profound understanding of how to harness celestial guidance to enhance life on earth. His unique approach blends deep spiritual insights with practical manifestation techniques, helping individuals to unlock their full potential and bring their dreams into reality. Now, on Cosmic Awakenings, Seth will share 3 powerful manifestation hacks that stem from his transformational conversations with angels, offering listeners not just theory, but practical tools that can be applied immediately. Now, his teachings are designed to empower individuals to archive clarity, or sorry, to achieve clarity, speed, and effectiveness in their personal manifestation efforts. So, again, Seth, I want to welcome you to Cosmic Conversations, and I am very excited to have you here. And I have to have this opening question with you. If you could share with the audience a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you for having me. The most exciting part about being here is really the opportunity to touch lives because we all can live in the darkness of just living the mundane reality without tapping into our own power to create the reality that we want to live. And when we get to learn or remember how to do that, and when we can pass it on, there's something that is life-giving to be able to pass that on. So I'm really excited to be here to meet whomever is listening or watching right now to intercept you at this point in your life so that you can have the access to whatever it is that's your next level of being able to live the life that you desire. And to answer your question, Sheila, thank you. The journey that I've had with the angels has had many twists and turns, not unlike our listeners who do find themselves at constant twists and turns in their own journey. But just to give the shortest version of the story, over 23 years ago, I was intercepted at a moment in my life with the angels that I called in. I just call them the angels. And at that particular moment in time, they came in a dark moment for me. But then they persisted. They didn't go away, which I'm very grateful for. They stuck around. And as they stuck around, they kept communicating with me that the world was about to change. Now, this is 23 years ago. They mentioned that we would have this lifting of consciousness, which I had no context for, but they mentioned the coming of what they called heaven on earth, or we call the new earth. And through that, they mentioned that all of the old constructs of the false to me to be one of many people who have made an agreement with the all that is to be able to guide others through this immense shift. They mentioned it would be quite a big one. And through that, of course, releasing all of the old constructs that we put our faith in, that we have always thought have served us, and actually watching ourselves lift up to a new level of being and freeing ourselves of those as well is quite an undertaking for all of us, Dr. Lisa included, who's one of my very good friends. And in that regard, we're all doing this. So that's how I got here. And through that time of knowing them, what I would only understand now is being calibrated. And mostly when we talk about teachings, the most powerful component of that is the energy that we broadcast. And we can talk about things, which is great. We can learn things, which is great. but we began to embody these truths of manifesting, of magic, of living in something where we're in a way of commanding our own hologram that we live in and the world that we live in. And when we embody that, we're actually broadcasting a frequency that turns that on for other people.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you had some encounter with some angelic beings, haven't you? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, yes, there are many in the celestial realm, including Yeshua and dragons and other things. But it did start out with the angels. And in that case, when the angels came in to my life, they came in basically invited because I was not having a great day. I was actually having quite a horrible day. And I was talking to a friend about this earlier today. It's very interesting because it wasn't just because it was an off day. Like many people who'd be watching this show, we've lived a life in this world where we don't really feel that we belong because we're wired quite differently than the reality that we live in. And of course, we're here to disrupt that and change it. We're here to actually be that change. And so on this particular day, it wasn't just perhaps the rough day that I had. It was in real estate, and I had all my escrows cancel. And then also I had a very escalated conversation with a significant other, which resulted in an immediate breakup. So on the surface level, it was a rough day, but it really actually activated something that was alive in me my whole life, where I feel like I don't belong here because I can't relate to things that happen here, such as why is there poverty? Why is there wars? Why is there greed? Why do people behave this way? Or why is this place oriented a certain way? And there's a lot of people who can relate to living in this world that way. But at any rate, on that particular day, I was finished. I was done. I don't want to be here. So I had a little conversation with the all that is and asked to leave. And like a good real estate agent, I realized right away that that was not going to be acceptable. So I gave the all that is a counteroffer. I said, well, that's fine. Then I want my angels. I want to talk to them. I may have used the F word in that. I said, where are they? And all that. But in that moment, something shifted. I felt the presence of something in my room. My dog and cat looked around. They could perceive something. I felt something touch me. I felt surrounded by energy beings. And then I felt this peace overcome me. And then I got a message through my awareness telepathically. Things are not just going to be okay, but they'll be better than okay. Now, of course, I realized what took place in that situation is that peace came from them disrupting my left brain, my ego, my worried mind, in order for them to be able to send the message to me, because we can only receive from the celestial realm or from the level of awareness when we have peace of mind, when our mind isn't interfering with the channel. But they were able to disrupt the fear and panic that I experienced to be able to give me that message. And of course, then they started showing up to play with me and play. When they play with us, it's a lot of fun. They start telling you what's going to happen, not in a predictory way, but they sort of guide you. And all of that is calibrated along the way. And people have asked very often, like, who are these angels? And very often, some of that has been Archangel Metatron, who, for some reason, I knew without ever hearing about him. I thought I made up the name, and it turned out it was a thing. Just like when the Anunnaki visited me and they said Anunnaki, I'd never heard of them before, but somehow or another they give you their names so that you could hear or remember them. So Archangel Metatron, Michael, Gabriel is in the mix as well as Raphael. But what they always explain to me is the angelic realm or channel is a single channel of unity of all of the angels, that even though we may experience their archetypes in different forms, that they are in fact a united framework.
So, over the years in working with all of these beings that you have, Do you find that today that they all have a similar message, or are they very, very different? And is there one that message that really stands out above all the others?
Thank you. Good question. So the first thing is that we're in a reality that is in a massive shift. So above anything, that is the message that floats to the top. And while there are many people who can definitely perceive in a linear way the destabilization of our world, that's actually not what's occurring. What's occurring is a reorganization where we will be in a reality that is in alignment with our true design. And their guidance is really geared to prepare us for that. And in a way, they want us to find or tap into the co-creative power that we have. So first and foremost, the message is all about the shift or the change that's occurring. They came in, they defined it, they talked about what it was and what it would look like. And so what we're experiencing right now, which seems like something that just popped up out of nowhere, which looks like the destabilization of all of the constructs in the world. The angels told me about this 20 plus years ago, that this would be part of that transition. We would create new constructs that would actually be less linear, more heart-centered, and more able to sustain a world without poverty, without war, and without any of those other things that we know are not in alignment with our true design. So first, of course, is a definition of the new earth or the old earth, or us becoming in alignment with our true selves. Second is empowering us to be there, to get there, and to have peace in this transition. And part of that is the manifestation piece. Because in the meantime, while all of this is happening, there is this real surge for all of us to investigate the powers that we have within us to create our own reality. Now, let's connect the dots because they connect very nicely. First of all, the manifestation thing isn't just about having a nice house and a nice car and a nice partner and a life where you feel like you're traveling on a magic carpet. The new earth is about actually living in our true identity, which is that of a creator. So it all connects. So when the angels have come in, at least for me and for many people that I know, they first give us some context of what's really happening so that we can have peace of mind to be able to lead in this situation. And then second of all, then to guide us on how to actually recalibrate with something that actually helps us. Because then once we get online with this, then we're part of the solution. We're part of creating something better for ourselves and the rest of those around us.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And have the angels shared like any insights about the new wave of souls that are incarnating these days, like the star seeds or, the crystalline children or the rainbow children? Do they ever acknowledge anything like that, or is it overall messages for humanity?
So, yes, of course, they acknowledge that. And the way that they acknowledge that for me, it makes perfect sense because what they're talking about is the incoming incarnation of more evolved beings is actually a litmus for where the world is going to be when these young people are adults. Now, I've heard people explain young people as people who aren't willing to work, or those kinds of ways of seeing that in the negative. And the angels are like, good, they're not ready to be in a slave system because they won't be in a system like that once they are, at a certain age. But the best way I can explain it is a linear explanation. So, and I find it ironic that I'm saying this with no hair, but at one point in my life, I used to dye my dark hair blonde, right? And so as the blonde hair grows out, whatever was dyed, the little dark hairs. I love pointing out my baldness here. But anyway, the dark hairs start to come out, which means here comes the dark hair. And all of that is a sort of a visualization of what's coming out. So on a massive scale, there are these wonderful evolved beings that are coming into the world, and they're here to disrupt and create or be part of creating the new earth. But they also represent that their blueprint is not one of willingness to participate in the old ways, which tells us that Creator Source is showing us that the old ways that we want to see disrupted are absolutely going to be disrupted, and we will have our new earth because the new beings that are coming in are already with a blueprint of being in that new earth. And yes, that's why they don't want to go to work for minimum wage, because that's all part of the old system.
So Steph, along those lines, because you are talking about the younger people and Sheila was asking about the younger people, for those of us that are maybe more middle age or older that have been part of this very, 3D matrix system
Yeah.
and feeling trapped or enslaved or whatever
Yes.
terms we want to put, do you or do your angels have some information to share for those people that are kind of in a fear-based state because of the extreme polarization here on Earth? Like, earlier, the elections going on, we had our elections last year, all this stuff. Even today, as we are on here, there was that massive blackout in Spain and part of Portugal and part of South France. I don't know if you heard about that, but the entire country had a blackout. And I had a friend
Yeah.
whose 19-year-old daughter is there. And so there's a lot of people in my community here in Hawaii, but then just even in my spiritual community, even though they kind of understand the fall of the system, there's still this reaction, even in their
Yeah.
bodies to this. And so what would you answer to that?
Good. Well, when we're experiencing that level of fear, it's because there's some piece of us that's still clinging to the old system. And that isn't meant to be a statement about right versus wrong. What it is it's meant to be a barometer or an indicator of when we're doing that. So when we are afraid of what's going to happen to the economy or whatever, when we're worried about all of those things, it's going to give us that effect. Interestingly enough, all of the people that are in this world right now, beneath their mind's orientation to participate in the old system, in the old ways, and let's call it conditioning, beneath that is a layer of them that already does have the design to be part of the new earth. And the growing pains, if you want to call it that, are just a way to erode away the layer of us that still feels that it's necessary for us to participate in whatever way. And I'm certainly not indicating anarchy or anything that's violent or any of that. But to speak to those who are feeling fear, because I know a lot of people who, for example, don't cling to the political construct whatsoever and are waiting for it to collapse, which it will. It doesn't support humanity 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever you want to call us. It doesn't support us because it separates us into classes, into different things. And it started off as a great thing, but it did stray in a direction that does not support anyone except for those within it. And that's the correction that's being moved into position here. But our survival is very connected, at least in our mind, and that's where we get triggered. And what the angels have mentioned is that those of us who can see past the false constructs are here to have the right words at the right times to plant the right seeds so that those who are feeling uneasy as this shift is occurring can not only have peace, but to see the part of their blueprint that is ready to participate. As you mentioned, the community here in your Hawaii, the community that you have here in Hawaii, is that beneath that is the knowing that we're tapped into something inside that has the capacity to create disruptive of that system, but we just don't know how to access it yet or bring it online. Well, we're all having that conversation, and that's where access to our celestial beings and our extraterrestrial beings and those that are more evolved, the extraterrestrials, for example, have already gone past this. They were at a part in their history where they had the same construct and evolved beyond it to create a more evolved society. But for those who are feeling uneasy, you may not necessarily just take the words from someone that you see on YouTube that everything's going to be all right, hunky dory, just jump on that magic carpet, but know that your uneasy feelings are part of actually clinging to something. And that happens to us personally too. If we cling to something, like, for example, I'll use this as a wonderful example to concretize this. I was wanting to take a trip to Florida where I was going to teach some classes and things like that. And for some reason, it just wasn't flowing. It just wasn't flowing whatsoever. Meetings couldn't happen, things couldn't happen. And then someone was inviting me into that push and control paradigm. And I just felt that heaviness on my body. And then suddenly I thought, what if I just canceled this trip? Maybe I'm not supposed to go. And then my body felt light and things started to flow. So for those who are feeling uneasy, tap into that part of you that does know that you came here for something really spectacular. And that right now, all of what's happening that's uncomfortable is only serving to actually crack the shell, to allow you to emerge into who you really are. And when you do, you don't even need the stuff, the constructs that are collapsing. You won't even need them at all. We won't even need them. We'll create a unity. There's a lot of different ways, and we also create consciously, which means that all that manifesting we do while the system is still alive is only going to 10x, 100x, 1000x once that system gets out of the way.
I couldn't get my mouse to work. I wanted to ask, a lot of people are very, very, very interested in working with the angels. They may already work with their guides or have a sense of their guides. Do you have any practical steps for people who really want to start working with the angels? And are there like certain angels to call on for certain things versus other angels for other things?
Great questions. Thank you. Let's see. First of all, let me tackle the first part. This is a great time to start working with angels, especially as we're transitioning here and a lot of things are destabilized because their guidance is so valuable. They will route you around the destabilization that you're afraid of. And let me say that again in different words. Any of the fearful scenarios that we can project as part of the destabilized reality that we live in are no longer part of our reality when we have that level of guidance. We already have it. We're already tapping into it in some level. They invite us into a deeper, more meaningful, and more robust next level relationship with the guidance. And let me just draw the difference. There's a big difference between, which is great, I lost my passport. Angels, where is it? Suddenly it shows up. And there's another level of guidance, which is, angels, I need to find a job. What should I do now? And the next thing you know, an idea pops in and a door opens. And they're always, from their vantage point, can see a route around anything that represents the destabilized future that we're so afraid of, routing us through it and routing us through detours. So we get to have a relationship that's built quite differently. And in fact, I know Lisa because of following that guidance. In a nutshell, I was guided to get on a plane one day, fly to Kona, Hawaii, with no other guidance except for one-way ticket, a few nights of accommodation, and a few days of rental car. After I stayed for almost 3 months, I ended up meeting all kinds of people. And I just came off of a retreat that I created or co-created from all of the synchronicities that took place. That relationship with synchronicities and that higher level guidance is really the invitation here from the angels, and why they're so profoundly knocking on our door or tapping on our shoulders right now. Now, the whole idea that the angels are separate and this one is for the parking and this one is for the good hair day or whatever. Oh, there, the hair again. But anyway, whatever it is, that they have their specialties. They do have their specialties, but they're a united field of consciousness that is connected to creator source. So technically, we're accessing creator source through our angels. Now, the old way of, yes, Archangel Raphael for healing, Archangel Gabriel, they are a personification or an archetype of something of individuality within that layer, but they're ultimately an access to the divine creator, source, Holy Spirit, God, the universe. They're basically the layer of creation that is the first layer beyond the source. And so we're really accessing the source, where the angels are the medium point, just like perhaps an evolved being like an extraterrestrial is as well. Anyone that has this level of awareness is actually accessing the all that is. And we did used to live in a paradigm, but that paradigm was created by religion, and it was created by, information that was more linear than what we have that's available to us today. So certainly we can start that relationship by calling on Archangel Raphael for healing. We can call on Metatron for the awakening, but the archetype or the spirit of Metatron is who can come to us. Now, I've had conversations with these angels that show up in like a meditation or a state of hypnosis. And there's a way that they show up, and they can shapeshift and look differently in all different ways. When Gabriel came in, he looked like a motorcycle dude with tattoos. And that isn't necessarily what he's portrayed on stained glass windows as. But as Metatron came in, he came in a spaceship. These are archetypes. These are ways that we can have relationships with them. So we can individuate them, but we're not meant to individuate them as much as we can work with them in the field. And again, the piece of it, so that we're an active participant in bringing in the new earth.
Beautiful. So I would love if you can share what your practical manifestation steps are that you wanted to share with us today.
Yeah. One of the biggest ones is surrender. Surrender. When we surrender, we actually let the divine plan unfold for us. What happens, we've lived in a reality for a very long time where we made it happen. Just do it, like Nike says, right? And we did succeed using that or applying that, but the paradigm has shifted and it doesn't work anymore. We live in a world in which synchronicity is alive and robust. And the more that we're in tune with it and then surrender, then we get the opportunity to let things unfold. And I might as well give it away. I'm sitting in Dr. Lisa's living room right now because of being here, because of synchronicity. What started off as an intuitive nudge to go to the Big Island of Hawaii, specifically that one, on certain days, ignited this whole network of people. And now these activation retreats that I do in Hawaii. And that all happened via surrender. All the pieces fell into place. I never made a spreadsheet. I never did anything. In fact, the participants, none of them came through Facebook ads or anything. They all came through synchronicity. We can live at a level where synchronicity co-creates with us. but it happens through surrender, and it happens through not needing to control the circumstances. So that's one of the things that we get into this beautiful relationship with synchronicity through surrender and not needing to control. The second one, and there's many, this is just three, right? So we're going to share three. So living with the manifestation practice every day. The second one is stay constantly connected to high frequency. Anything that connects us to high frequency gives us access to the quantum field, which is that part of us that co-creates reality. One of those that people talk about a lot is gratitude. What does gratitude do? Is it connects us with our heart, and it gives us heart and mind cohesion. So as a hypnotherapist, my objective is to create a unity between the left and right hemisphere. And oddly, when we have what's called hemispheric synchronization, or anything that gives us the ability to have the two hemispheres or the heart and mind working together, we actually are connected to the co-creative source. That's where you're going to see the strangest of miracles happening all the time. This is where things are going to happen when they need to. This is where we're going to get a resource when we need to, money, people that we're meant to meet, or whatever. What's really going to light this up is being in that state, that high frequency state of having the heart and mind working together. So if we're clinging to old constructs and worrying about who's going to get elected, we've severed the connection to our co-creative source. If we're worrying about how we're going to pay our bills, or we're worrying about whether so-and-so is going to call us back, we've severed the connection with our co-creative source. So what we want to do is not allow ourselves to be taken out of that. We are going to, because we're in a human body, but we have so many tools to bring us back into that. To give you some context, in Southern California, where it's my home base and where I'm from, we often go to Integratron, which is this beautiful Tesla healing center that was built by George Van Tussle with the funding of Howard Hughes in Joshua Tree, California. And these ladies have made it into a sound bath because it's got the 55 feet of diameter, and it's on this very activated ley line. Well, every time I go there and go to a sound bath, the minute I get home, things that were blocked start flowing into place. And it's literally because I got out of my head and created hemispheric synchronization, because it's a powerful way. And binaural beat meditations, when they're actually in their ears, what they do is they're a different pitch in each ear. And your mind, in order to make harmony, and this was explained to me by someone who creates this, your mind, in order to make harmony, it has to actually unite the hemispheres to create the harmony that doesn't exist in the two ears. So these are many tools. Anything that gets us into the heart, into hemispheric synchronization, then taps us in. Because if we're unplugged, we're like a lamp that's unplugged. If we're plugged in, we're going to start to create. So very often in the old paradigm, in order to make things happen, we just sort of pushed and shoved. But in a reality that we want to co-create, in addition to surrender, the next level of that is also being mindful of being in heart and mind cohesion, hemispheric synchronization, whatever you want to call it, because the part of you that will create or manifest is your right brain. I've had people come to me and say, but I'm magical. Why are things broken? And I tell, because your ego decided that it was the magician instead of your higher self. Your ego, your personality, is a co-creative source or force, and your higher self is the creator of the manifestation and miracles that occur. So uniting the two of them and making them work together is one of the other ways. So if I were to pull out a third one, it is, again, understanding with frequency, we do timeline shifts. and understanding that whatever it is that you desire already exists in another timeline. And when I say already exists, it already exists. So it's not like it's coming to you, you're going to it. So the way that the angels have brought that to me to understand with a sort of a visual is think of like recipe cards or any sort of like when we go to the library in the old days, you pull out this sort of thing and there'd be these cards lined up. Well, in this moment, there are all of those variations of possibilities. So whatever it is that you desire, there's a card that represents you with it. And then there's a card with maybe you now. Well, one of the tricks that Archangel Metatron taught is guess what? Linear time is an illusion. That means it's impossible to have one moment where you don't have the manifestation and one moment where you do. One of the quickest ways to shift timelines and to go to the place where the manifestation already exists is to get into the now moment, because the now moment acknowledges that linear time is an illusion. And once you're in the now moment, and we've all known this or seen this or witnessed this without fully knowing what was happening, the minute we find that we're going to have peace about situation, we've flipped into a timeless state. And that's when immediately the phone call comes through, the idea comes through, whatever it is that shifts the situation that moves us towards the creation. So timelessness and allowing ourselves through frequency and the now moment to shift into an understanding that whatever it is that we desire is already created. We're not gonna create it. We already created it. Creation is done. Everything and all its possibilities already exist. And one of the things, maybe it's a bonus round here, I'll add that I always share when I do one-on-one sessions with people that your desire is an indication that it does already exist in one of those timelines. So you didn't decide, oh, hey, I'm going to manifest this, and let's see if the universe is on board with it. The very fact of getting the desire was an act of receptivity, which meant you tuned into the place where it already exists, and then you're going to go from there. Now, anything is possible. There was a time in my life where I lost everything as part of my soul agreement to be of service. But during that, for example, and despite having done bankruptcy and lost a house, maybe I needed a new place to live or whatever. Credit wasn't the issue. There's so many different limitations that we place on ourselves, but through that timeline travel, we'll always go through that slipstream. So being in the now moment is part of that key. So to tie it all together, it's the surrender, the relationship with synchronicity and your two hemispheres, and going into a timeless state. Those are three of the many tips that I would like to give that I downloaded from the angels over the years that really empower me to be able to manifest a life of beautiful unfoldment.
Yeah. I really appreciate you bringing up the bankruptcy because I've talked with so many people who have said, I had this pivotal moment in my life, and it was when I went through the bankruptcy and I lost my home. And I realized that that home represented the old me, and that the universe was providing this beautiful opportunity for me to move away from all of that old stuff and to step into
Yeah.
the new. And that by their embracing it, they said more abundance came to them than they could have ever imagined. But they said, you know, there was a period that they really fought to hold on. It's like, no, I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. And there was so much struggle and fear. And the very second that they made that decision of release, they said everything began to shift. So I think that's kind of what you're talking about, that not just in those kind of situations, but in our life, just finding the strength and being able to release, to let go, and to step into the abundance that's already there.
Yeah. And also what you're speaking to is the reason that we're in the process of shedding the old constructs, because we live in a hologram. We're the creator of our reality. And no matter what is occurring right now, we are the ones who create it. And the whole idea that there is a construct or a structure that supports all that is pure illusion, pure illusion. And the reason why we're shedding it is because it's not part of what really is. Deep beneath us is that level. That means there is no limitation. That construct creates limitations like credit score or how much money do you have or whatever. It creates all of those limitations, and yet we can actually rise above them by stepping back into the co-creative partnership with the two selves. And yes, peace of mind is what opens that up. The reason we want peace is not because it's a good feeling, it's because it opens up the connection to our higher self. When we don't have peace, it eclipses the connection that we have to our co-creative self. And so once we get the idea or the experience that there is no limitation, no matter how large or seemingly um, uh, unmutable that limitation is, or rigid that limitation is, no matter how much it appears like that, then the next thing you know, wow, guess what? Magic could disrupt it anyway. Magic. Some people are uncomfortable with that word, manifestation, miracle, or just the ability to go, wow, what just happened? Right. And so that's why we calibrate with all of this. That's why we have these conversations, because we don't just memorize this stuff. We actually calibrate with it and remember who we are.
I'm sitting here talking on mute. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up because I know that many people right now are in positions that they're looking for answers and that they're really, whether it is what's my next move or, what is my true soul purpose. So for
Mhm.
people that are in this seeking state, is there like a daily practice that you recommend for them?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
And I know that's not the answer you were hoping to find, but let me tell you what
No.
I do believe that someone in that state would benefit from hearing. If you're in that place right now and you think, wow, I want to find a new habit that is going to actually, fix all this. No, that's not what it is. I got something even better for you. I want you to know that you're not alone. You are absolutely not alone. You are part of a great, big, huge movement of something that is bigger than whether, the credit card is going to be paid on time or whatever, right? You're part of something bigger and you will be guided every step of the way. And sometimes you're going to wake up and you're going to be depressed and you're going to wish that you left this body. And sometimes you're going to wake up and you're going to find miracles that will make it better. If you want the best key to being able to navigate this, find your tribe, find your community,
Mm.
find people that you connect with, because you're going to have a conversation with somebody. You're going to be authentic with them. They're going to be authentic with you. You're going to discover what you have in common. And suddenly you're not going to feel alone because there's nothing broken about you that you need to fix with a new habit. The habit is to be in community. The habit is to remember that you're the divine creator in a body. Now, what we were thinking when we decided to come down here, we can all discuss that when we get back. But, jesting aside, what really is powerful is knowing that this is not a symptom of needing to fix something. This is a symptom of you activating your highest potential. Will it elude you for a little while? Yes, but it will come when it's ready. Will you meet people along your path? Will you think that you went the wrong way sometimes? Yes. And when that happens, I hope you remember these words from the angels and me. You did not go the wrong way. You are not alone. you are not broken and nothing is wrong. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, and find your community, because nothing will help you resolve that more than being in your community.
I
I
love that.
Yeah, I love that too. And what I will say for myself and my experience with that, because it did lead me to Sheila and to Seth and to all the other wonderful guests that we've had on, is that when I fully stepped into my full authentic self and actually shined my light and, came out to the world, okay, yes, I'm this galactic ambassador and all the things that my normal otherworldly groups they were not part of my true community. And when I came out, now I am synchronistically meeting my community,
Mhm.
and it's building a beautiful new earth.
Yeah, yeah. And we all have the ability to discover from each other. We're past the age of a guru. We don't need a guru. And the leadership potential that we all have is to actually courageously dive into the unknown, discover the power that we have, and actually be able to share what we discover with each other for those that are in the same frequency. And then what happens is we get it. And I'll tell you, I drove to Dr. Lisa's house today from Captain Cook. It took like 59 minutes. And in that time, I had a conversation with a friend of mine from Sedona. Turns out, and this is what's going to happen to all of us. You're all very powerful people with very powerful gifts, but you're in this human experience.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, did we
Here we
lose?
go. Here, so there
There
we
you
go.
are.
Technology. So we all have, you all have are powerful people with very powerful gifts, but you're having a human experience, worrying about your credit score, the interest rate you're going to get on your mortgage or whatever, that you forget how powerful you are. And sometimes when that happens, it's going to bring you down. I'm not trying to make that. I'm just trying to say that when it does, life will put you in touch with another person who's having that moment where they've forgotten how powerful they are, how many lives they touch. And then you get to know in that way. This community is great for giving us an opportunity to actually see the light that we have instead of being blinded by our own mind, or what some people call the ego, which can't possibly encompass the construct of who we are and the ability that we have to touch lives and to create the reality that we want to live.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, Lisa, do you have any questions?
I'm trying to think what the audience might want to know about, just because Steph and we have regular conversations about this stuff all the time.
Right.
Um, I guess, Steph, is there anything right now that the angels are really wishing for you to share with the audience?
Yeah, it has to do because many of you are feeling this sense of, wow, I've connected with my gifts. Wow, I've connected with my talents. Why do I feel flattened? Why do I feel bothered by things? Why do I feel uh, a sense of not fear, but a sense of maybe some depression or maybe some other form of not really fully feeling as if I'm in it? And the angels want us to know that even when it's uncomfortable to walk this path, that you're walking in the right direction still. And when it feels like the resistance comes up from somewhere, that it's actually a gift. And so for those of you who are feeling some sense of complication or some sense of overwhelming feeling of um, maybe disappointment with your current circumstances, despite knowing that you have your gifts and talents, Maybe your business isn't doing as well as you'd like it to. Maybe you feel a rift in a relationship where you feel unity. It doesn't matter what it is that might be actually being the sort of counterweight to all the wonder that you feel when you are connected. And you're wondering, how do I get back into that positive space? What they say is embrace that other space. It's just as valuable. And to be able to actually find what the gift is, and that will move you through it. So, for those of you who are feeling weighted down, those are good words, weighted down by circumstances, while still recognizing and knowing that you are magical, know that being weighted down is part of discovering even more of the power that you have to co create the new earth and the reality that you want to live. And so don't resist it, embrace it.
Beautiful. And in these last few moments, I wanted to go through to see if there was any questions. And Quantum Doug was wondering if you could speak more about time, or rather, nonlinear time.
Yeah. I know it sounds like a big, complex topic, but here's the easiest place to describe it. When we go on a vacation, we leave from the airport, Terminal 5 at LAX, and then we arrive, we come back 2 or 3 weeks later, and we think, oh, wow, wasn't I just here like 5 minutes ago? Anything that we do that's expansive is what gives us that Merkaba, if you will, that will transcend linear time. So it's not something that we have to dissect and take apart and learn how to do. It's something we're doing all the time. We do it in meditation, we do it in nature. Whenever it is that time seems to stand still, in other words, we're at such a space of joy and expansion, it almost reunites us with all points of our life. And I think we know what that means. And the best way to be in that state is again with heart and mind cohesion, because the minute that we're in hemispheric synchronization, then linear time doesn't seem real anymore, if that makes sense. So any of those moments where time seems to, as we would describe, stand still or move quickly or be irrelevant, it's all the same description of something that we already know that we're doing is we're connecting with our higher self, and just simply connecting with our higher self rises us above the false construct of time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I'm going to ask this question. So, if you had the attention
Thank you.
of the entire world, what would you like to say to them?
Can you repeat the question? To the entire world, what would I like to say to them?
Uh-huh. If you
Yeah,
had the
you are loved.
attention of the entire world, what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, you are loved. Stop worrying. And it's all gonna come together by being the love instead of the worry, by being the love instead of the division, by being the love instead of the knowing. And I mean knowing from a mindset.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Lisa, I'm going to bring you up as well. We only have a couple minutes left. Seth, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate it. I know our audience appreciated it. And I am so excited that you have taken the time out to be with us this afternoon. I was sitting here watching everybody, and I'm like, I think you've been out in the sun today because you're getting a little glowy. And I thought, oh, maybe that's just the energy here. And then it's like, well, maybe it's both of them, because I watched how your glow came on. The more that you talked, how you just lit up. So you just ooze this beautiful light. And thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And Lisa, thank you so much for being here this month, for bringing phenomenal speakers. In the last couple minutes, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Well, again, I just want to thank everyone for showing up in this space, wherever that space may be, because by all of us coming together, you know. So the three of us, we're the talking heads right now, but we all do have these beautiful gifts within us. We have the light, and it's time for us to step fully into our light, to be who we are, to raise the vibration of Earth. And by all of us just maintaining our own environments, that's what my higher dimensional ATs are always wanting to share, is you only have control over your own environment. And so don't put your focus on that external world. Turn it inward. Clear out the trauma, the emotions that might still be stuck, holding you back, keeping you in fear, keeping you polarized. But Steph and I, we were having a conversation right before this of like, no one is broken, but there are still things we come here to experience as humans that might hold us back. And so the more that we're able to just acknowledge and release that, then we are propelling ourselves into these higher frequencies, and we are creating heaven on earth. And all timelines are existing simultaneously. So which timeline are you choosing?
That's right. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Seth, if people want to find you, how can they do so?
Talktomyangels.com. That's talk and then TO, myangels.com.
Beautiful. And Dr. Lisa, how about you?
You can find me again at awakenactivatenow.com for my free gift. My website is drlisajthompson.com or bigislandUFOtours.com if you're interested in that aspect of my work.
Well, thank you both again for being here. Many blessings to you. Many blessings to everybody that's been listening to us, that's watching us. Thank you. Hey, Loney, I see you there. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. So it's always good to see everybody here because all of the synergy that you bring really help to create this sacred space. And so until we're all back together again, namaste and much love, everyone. Have a beautiful and blessed week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.